sacred manner with maybe a namaste. You each have an incarnational destiny. You are meant to fly. You are meant to fly higher and higher to rise up, as the song was saying, out of any of the things that happen in your life. It's just meant to give you the lessons that you need so that you can fly. You are meant to have happiness in your life. You are meant to achieve all of your dreams. And we will run into obstacles, both without and within, right? As we move toward fulfilling our destiny and living out our dreams, difficulties do arise. As a matter of fact, we've just been in a Mars retrograde period. You don't maybe know what it means astrologically. I'm going to tell you briefly, but you probably know in your life because it's been kind of hard times lately. It started back several weeks ago, and it's been, Mars is a planet of great energy, like the Aries energy, forward moving, but it also could be conflictual and bring a lot of fiery passion and outspokenness and conflict. So I woke up yesterday to look at Facebook, and I saw that the Chinese had ordered that a whole giant holy city of the Tibetan Lamas would be destroyed. They did this previously in 2010, and now they're doing it again. And I thought to myself, oh, surely we can do something about this. Maybe that's why the Facebook announcement's going around. But then I read the dates of it, and they ordered it to happen right during this this Mars retrograde, which is so sadly fitting with what the energies of it are all about. So it's already been done. Tens of thousands of holy people and lay people. Their house, it showed pictures of their houses just being destroyed by bulldozers. Such senseless destruction, During this time period, maybe some of you have been feeling some kind of, big crushing forces in your lives. I don't know. There maybe have been accidents, mishaps, inability to think clearly, inability to sleep well or enough, merciless lessons on our egos, causing severe backlash, and feeling depleted and overwhelmed and exhausted. All these, it was in the astrology meeting, are things that happen in a Mars retrograde. So just one of these situations would be enough to handle, but it was saying that a lot of us are being hit with a whole package right now. And what makes it difficult is that we've also been in a Mercury retrograde. So this was kind of a double whammy time period, but take a deep sigh of relief because it is all over on June 30th. June 30th. Now to segue into why we're here. We come together in a spiritual container to get some relief, right? And to get some encouragement, to feel each other's loving energy. And as a matter of fact, the Dalai Lama said, when the times get rough, I'm paraphrasing him, okay? When the times get rough, the tough go deeper. So we've got to go deep within, into the presence, into the silence, into the womb of the Great Mother, we could say, into releasing, into the deaths and rebirths that are happening in our lives. It made me think this week when I was thinking about this time and how it feels, that it is kind of like childbirth. And I'm lucky enough to have been through childbirth, giving birth to my daughter in my life, and I remember that I just had to take all my focus and concentration and go deep. Just settle in and go deeper and deeper with the pain that arose. And then when I did, there wasn't fear there. So there's some wisdom in this. We've got to find a safe enough place to go deep within. And it helps us to not be afraid. Also to come within community and call out on our allies. That really gives us a lot of strength. When we go into this presence, this spiritual, sweet, loving presence, somehow it takes us beyond our thoughts and our minds, and we don't even understand it all the way, but we know that somehow everything's going to be okay. So we here at Unity, we choose to open ourselves, like that beautiful song was saying, in deep surrender to the luminous love light of the One. It's within us. And we have another beautiful song that takes us along that same pathway of not picking up the obstacles that are in our way and hanging on to them and getting all uptight about the obstacles, like the things that people might say or the difficulties even in our own memories, but instead we open and we know that we can, like in childbirth, go deeper and wider. And this song, it comes from a spiritual tradition that I grew up in and that Destiny grew up in, and Christian spiritual tradition where we used to sing this song all the time, so it's very familiar to my heart, and maybe it's familiar to some of you, but feel free to sing along with Deep and Wide.
And a little different melody, but you'll get it, okay? Deep and wide, deep and wide, there's a fountain flowing deep and wide. Like that, or anything that feels good. Deep and wide, deep and wide, there's a fountain flowing deep and wide. Good, really feel it. Deep and wide, deep and wide, there's a fountain flowing deep and wide.
This is what we used to do in Sunday school.
Deep and wide, deep and wide, there's a fountain flowing deep and wide. Deep and wide, deep and wide, there's a fountain flowing deep and wide.
It's funny and fun, but let yourself close your eyes now and sink into it as a body meditation, what it feels like to go deeper, wider, and open. Here at Unity, we go deep and wide, gathering our resources from many different traditions all over the world. So in any one service, we can go from Buddhist to Christian, Jewish, Native American, Hindu. So this is from Jack Kornfield, a Buddhist teacher, but he's talking about his tradition as a Jew. So he says, in the Jewish mystical tradition, one great rabbi taught his disciples to memorize and contemplate the teachings and holy words on their heart. And one day one of the students to the rabbi asked him, why do you always use that phrase, on your heart, instead of in your heart? And the teacher replied, well, only time and grace can put the essence of these stories in your heart. Here we just recite them and learn them and put them on our hearts, hoping that someday when your heart breaks, they will fall in. So that reminded me of what we do here, really. Like we're singing the songs and we're hearing the words and we're speaking good words of truth and beauty and love to each other. But they're getting stored up in you, on your heart, for someday when your heart breaks, they will fall in and they'll be there for you. I remember when my daughter was 9, she broke her arm really badly. And we were in the hospital, and they weren't getting the pain medication to her quickly enough. And she said, Mom, sing me the songs. Sing me the songs. And I knew that they were these songs that I had from my childhood that always ran through my head like Deep and Wide, that she had heard me sing over and over again. And that was what she wanted me to do, to comfort her in the midst of the pain. So these songs that we sing, the readings, things that pour onto you. I hope and pray that in your moment of your broken heart, that they are there for you. They're like a fountain coming from deep within, flowing over you. I just want to talk to you about the place of the broken heart for a minute, because it happens to us, in love, in friendship, in our work partnerships. It's always a difficult experience. Modern neuroscience has even discovered that the emotional suffering that we experience registers in the same area of the brain as physical pain. So when we're feeling abandoned or rejected, sometimes we don't even want to eat, we can't sleep, we have difficulty breathing, our bodies feel like maybe we've got the flu or something. So what can we do when we have to accept these moments of the broken heart? What truth can we find beyond the stories that we tell ourselves about how they're wrong and we're right, or that we're wrong and they're right? Or, what can we do besides spending fruitless hours trying to figure everything out in our heads and repeating what happened? We do plenty of that, but can we do something more useful than just, justifying to ourselves what we did or what they did? Or what can we do when the story seems to be drowning us or rolling over us with so much despair that we end up feeling like we're unlovable? Well, that's what we're here to talk about. What can we do? We can call on our allies to gather around. Always remember that. That's why we come together here, so that you can look around and get to know each other and realize you've got allies. You've got allies. Hopefully you've got deep friends and a lot of allies in your life that you can call on, but sometimes you need to call out to allies you don't even know, and say, hey, I need help right now. I feel like I'm drowning. And then when we call on the allies, we can express vulnerability in a safe container. It takes a lot of courage, but Brene Brown, who she is? She's real popular on the internet right now. She's a social worker who really took on this whole topic of shame and vulnerability and coming into our heart. And she said, we cultivate love when we allow our most vulnerable and powerful selves to be deeply seen and known. We cultivate love when we allow our most vulnerable and powerful selves, see how she links that, vulnerable and powerful selves, to be deeply seen and known. And when we honor the spiritual connection that grows from that offering, we honor the spiritual connection that grows from that offering with trust, respect, kindness, and affection. So you hear what she's saying, like, there are times when we've got to become vulnerable to feel our power. And then we get honored in being vulnerable with trust. We are somehow invoking trust in others when we feel vulnerable. Isn't that kind of ironic? Or, it's not what we're necessarily taught. And then we're able to let the changes that are called forth take place. We may have to let go of a whole identity, a whole way of perceiving ourselves or others. But when the time comes to do that, call on the allies, be vulnerable, and like a sandcastle, it's all temporary. We build it, we tend it, we enjoy it, and when the tide comes in, we let it go. So the first thing that we need to do when we've suffered loss or betrayal is to find a way to regain our wise heart so that we can let it hold the aching of our heart. So, do you hear what I'm saying? You have a wise heart. Every one of you has a wise heart that can hold the aching part of your heart. It's good to realize that, isn't it? That we have a higher consciousness, a wise self. We all do. We need to go through our difficulties in a conscious and clear way. That's what I think the Dalai Lama was saying. When the difficulties come, we need to meditate. We need to go deeper because we've got to connect with this wise heart, this wise part of ourselves. We need to take the time out and let ourselves fall inward. And there we'll find refuge. That's what the Buddha meant by taking refuge. You take refuge in this deep inner world. Do you agree with me? Has that happened to you? Yeah. Just think about a time when you felt sad and felt like your heart was breaking, and a time when you found refuge. A time when you could go within or you called on an ally. Just remember that and let it comfort you to know right now that you're a person, a human being, that's already a long ways along your path of knowing how to do this. There's a wonderful book that a friend gave me the other day that's coming from the integral movement. Do you know about the integral movement? I've been there to speak to the leaders of the integral movement in Boulder several times over the last years because they've invited me in to help them do their shadow work. So that's really cool. You know, like they're Ken Wilber and all these leaders creating the integral movement, and they wanted to do their shadow work. So in the integral movement, what they're doing is they're naming what they call an evolutionary spirituality. So it's a spirituality for our times, like for people like us who are moving into this new kind of spirituality that really works for us, that gathers so many things together. And they say there's 3 things in this evolutionary spirituality that we're learning to do. One of them is to be able to hold polarities. You know, like now you know what polarities are, right? Like, this is good, this is bad, but not quite like that, really. It's more like male, female. Because there are polarities that need to be held in their complexity and not just done away with. Like, some people are saying that like cooperation and competition is a polarity that needs to be done away with, like no more competition. But actually they need to be held in a creative tension, because we still do need some kinds of competition and cooperation. So you know what I mean? There's polarities that need to be held in a creative tension. And I like to quote Jung on this. He says, we've got to hold the complexities in our world and in our life long enough without coming to premature foreclosure so that we can come to maturity. So anytime a complexity comes up, you know, some of them might be like, okay, we've got to, you know, stand in our truth and this isn't really right. Okay, sometimes it's like that, but a lot of times it's holding the complexity. You see what I'm saying about that? So that's the number one thing the integral movement is saying. The second thing is that we have to practice whatever of truth and beauty and love that we know. That we have to get busy creating beauty. Even if it's just straightening up your car or your house, making your bed, you know, creating beauty in your environment, creating beauty in your life. And then feeling the truths that you know, and maybe even getting some quotes and writing them up and saying, these are truths I believe in. And in a few minutes here we're going to read some quotes from, or have people in the congregation read some quotes from Rumi to just bathe us in these truths that we know. Truth, beauty, and love. So this is the second principle they have: practice, truth, beauty, and love. I think coming here and being in a loving community is one way of practicing love. There's lots of ways to show our love, to practice our love. The third thing that the integral community is saying is this new evolutionary spirituality, is that we have to give ourselves in service. And Richard was saying that to me yesterday. He said, I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve. And that's the feeling of it, like we're here to serve one another, people in need in our lives and in the world. So I like those three principles, don't you? Hold the complexity, practice the truth, beauty, and love, and we're here to serve. When you do these things, what starts to happen is that an inner, deeper place in us starts to get inhabited by us. It's like our deep heart core. A lot of people have written about it in modern times, but in ancient times they called it the bodhicitta. It means the heart core, and you can hear that word bodhi in there. So it's like where the Buddha resides or where the Christ light resides, but you settle down through the brokenheartedness, down into the bodhicitta. Ooh, that's a great place to settle down into, because there you feel the ecstasy of your life being reborn, and you feel the sense of indestructibleness, even eternalness. It's a strength born out of vulnerability. So these difficult times, they do befall our world and they befall us, but we grow through these times. We grow into our deepest capacity to be more authentic, right? And to lead a life that's free of bondages, that's free of our old wounds, that's free of our triggers. So that's where we're heading, through our difficulties, to a deeper, greater ability to love and feel compassion for ourselves and others, and to create the universe anew. That's why they're calling it evolutionary spirituality, because we're realizing that we are here to create the universe. That's why your dreams are so important. They're so important because each one of us has a unique part of what needs to be created right now on planet Earth, right? I wish we had time to have a speak out right now, but I would really love to hear where you could be more vulnerable in your life. I'd love to hear where you could stop pretending. I'd love to hear where you could ask for help. And maybe just simply to have a conversation about what does being vulnerable mean to you. So have those conversations with each other. Talk afterwards at the coffee pledge time, or get together in our circles of 8 or our small groups and answer some of these questions. How can we be more vulnerable in our lives, and then experience the ecstasy that comes out of that? I'd love to go now into the whole rest of our service. We're going to go into the deeper space of various kinds of meditation. So this first part, we're going to have Richard playing the sitar. Is it? Oh, what's the song? Oh, yes! That's the first part. I had asked Richard to sing Let It Be. And, all of our favorites. His own great renditions of things.
What's the light on him?
That's the
The
first
light?
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. living in the world of green, there'll be an answer. Let it be. For though they may depart, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. There'll be an answer. And when the night's cloudy, there's still a light that shines for me. Shine till tomorrow. I wake up to the sound of music. Mother Mary comes to me. She's speaking words of wisdom. Speaking words of wisdom. Don't know.
We like that, Richard. We like that. So now the time for the sitar. And you know, these times come on our planet and in our lives when we have to let it be because we don't know rationally how to solve things. That's what I hear in that let it be. We've got to go deeper in to the mystical realms, to the realms of altered consciousness, to the realms where we can, you know, really relax into a greater mind than our own mind, a greater consciousness, a collective consciousness. We tend to put up barriers to going there because we have to let go of things to get there. But in this next half hour, I'd like us to venture in there, into the greater consciousness, deeper consciousness. Let the spirit flow. Let your mind relax. Put your thoughts to sleep in a way, but don't go to sleep. Rumi said, don't let your thoughts cast a shadow over the moon of your heart. Let go of your thinking mind. Because we're born of love. Love is our mother. Close your eyes and fall into love and stay there for a while. Close your eyes right now, if you will, with me, and fall into the crack in your heart, into love. We're going to stay there for a little while. One of my happiest memories from my younger days was when I lived in Tulsa and sitting in a house, our house, and the sitar was playing. And we sat there for hours and hours and hours listening to the sitar, into the wee hours of the morning, just listening to the sitar music. This instrument has a way of taking you into a very deep place. In that deep place where love prevails, fear departs. Rumi said our greatest strength lies in the gentleness and tenderness of our heart. Rumi said many wonderful things, and we're going to have a litany while the sitar music is going. A litany of different voices speaking these wonderful mystical truths, beautiful truths that Rumi said.
Being a candle is not easy. In order to give light, one must burn.
The very center of your heart is where life begins, the most beautiful place on earth.
I searched for God and found only myself. I searched for myself and found only God.
Find the sweetness in your own heart, then you may find the sweetness in every heart.
Lose yourself. Lose yourself in this love. When you lose yourself in this love, you will find everything.
I smile like a flower, not only with my lips, but with my whole being.
Don't run away from grief, O soul. Look for the remedy inside the pain, because the rose came from the thorn and the ruby from the stone.
God, take my soul to that place where I may speak without words.
Be patient when you sit in the dark. The dawn is coming.
I love you, I love myself, there is a window from one heart to another heart.
I closed my mouth and spoke to you in 100 silent ways. There is a voice that does not use words.
You have to keep breaking your heart until it opens. Listen, what you seek is seeking you. Love is the whole thing. We are only pieces. I am not this hair. I am not this skin. I am the soul that lives within.
Do not feel lonely. The entire universe is inside you.
Not feel lonely. The entire universe is inside of you.
Feeling that entire universe inside of you, allowing your mouth to open and the sound to emerge in a way that feels good. So feel your whole body from the inside out and let your sound be like tiny little fingers that are massaging you from the inside out. Feel it. And watch if any judgment arises. Does it sit brilliantly? Does it sound good? Let it feel good.
With this. Just pretend you're one amongst a lot of wolves or something, or one amongst a lot of whales. You're making sounds of praise to the universe, praise to the spirit. Just let it flow. It doesn't matter how it sounds. Just let it flow through you. Let your whole body feel the fountain deep within. As we're settling back down in your seat, I'd like you to take a long, slow, deep breath. A lot of time, we spend so much time in our life with words and with talking to one another, which is all great. But it's also good to take time together to go into silence. So if you're willing to close your eyes for a moment and begin to turn within. As you breathe deeply, I'd like you to imagine that you're in a place where there's water flowing. There's water flowing over a waterfalls. You can almost hear the sound of the water flowing along, rushing over the waterfalls, down below splashing, flowing along. Enjoy the sense of movement and sound of the water. Take a long, slow, deep breath and feel the sense of the sound and movement inside of you connecting to your own breath. Direct your mind to listen to the sound of your breath, the sound of your breath. As you inhale and exhale, feel your body relax a little bit more as your mind will follow directions and focus within. Just sitting here comfortably, there's nothing to do. Simply be. What a great relief to just get to be in this moment. Notice your breath again. And any sounds in the room, physical sensations that you might be having in your body, thoughts that might be passing through, or feelings. Without trying to do anything about it, just notice. Just say, I noticed that thought, and then come back to your breathing. Direct your mind to listen to your breathing, to feel your breathing. And let yourself settle down. Settle down. Simply observe your breath as it moves in and out. Oh, such a relief to just get to be with your breath. Notice how it's so effortless what our breath does for us. It just automatically moves in and out. You can yawn, maybe. Just let it flow deeply. You don't have to do anything to force it in any way. Just notice all the details you can of experiencing your breathing. It's so relaxing to just sense the air moving in and out of the nose. Just notice the way your body wants to move. Moves up and down as you breathe. The mind, it tends to wander away like the monkey mind from the breath. That's fine. It doesn't matter. Just when you notice it, gently call it back. Tell it, we're just going to do this for a few minutes now, mind. We're just going to meditate. We're going to observe the breath. We can do this. It's time to bring your attention to a place of rest. Let all of your experiences, thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations now move into the background of your awareness and focus more fully on your breath. Automatically and effortlessly, this breath is happening. Continue throughout the next few moments as we're going to be entering into a deeper silence together. Discipline your mind to notice your breath. It's a way to come into what's called samadhi, or calm feeling, peacefulness. To gradually move away from all the efforts and towards this deep relaxation. Continue to breathe deeply. You might notice a lightness happening, a light flowing from the top of your head, flowing down in you, a light, a blue light, flowing down in through your head, around your shoulders, relaxing you, flowing into your heart, slowly gliding into your heart. As it moves around and swirls around in your bodhicitta, deep heart space. Amazing, beautiful space that's within you. This blue light from the heavens mingles with your heart and your love, and it becomes a golden light, shimmery golden light. And as you breathe in and out, you can see this beautiful, warm, golden, yellow, healing light flowing throughout your whole body. Yes, your heart sends blood. Your heart sends light. Your heart sends healing flowing throughout your whole body, bringing into all the inner members of your great universe within healing, lightness, acceptance, love for you, of you. Let this deepen, remaining in the flow. Focus on your breath, in and out. You can count your breaths if you want to make your mind keep focusing on the breath. But we're going to go now to a deep place of several moments of breathing together, silently meditating, letting this presence fill the room, fill your heart, fill this space together. Breathing, breathing, breathing. Let go. Let go. All the way to the other shore. Don't be afraid. Surrender. There's a new dawn coming on planet Earth. You have to have the courage to let go of some things.
Let go, let go.
New forms are coming into birth through us.
Let go.
Let go.
Let go.
Thinking about what you need to let go of. Let this be a moment of surrender. Sing along if you like to. Gate, gate, Parasangate. Not nearly long enough, but we had some time to go within. We're just going to mark the closing of our meditative time one more time with the ringing of the bell. And to connect with one another, it would be nice now to turn to somebody,